There is a specific kind of exhaustion that has no name. It is not the tiredness that comes from working too hard or sleeping too little. It is something quieter, something that lives behind your eyes and sits heavy in your chest, even on the days when nothing is technically wrong. You know this feeling. You have felt it at 2 a.m. staring at a phone that isn't lighting up. You have felt it mid-conversation, smiling at someone while a part of you is somewhere else entirely, replaying a look, a word, a moment that meant everything to you, and apparently nothing to them. This is what it does to your mind when you love someone who cannot love you back. And the real answer is far stranger and far more damaging than a broken heart. When you feel genuine romantic attachment to someone, your brain releases a powerful cocktail of neurochemicals. Dopamine, the molecule of anticipation and reward. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone. And serotonin, which actually drops when you fall in love, to levels researcher Donatella Marazziti at the University of Pisa compared to people diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder. That last part is important. You are not imagining the obsession. Your brain chemistry at the height of love is clinically similar to a compulsion. Now, imagine that this entire system gets activated. The dopamine, the craving, the obsessive thinking, but the reward never comes. What happens next is something psychologists call an intermittent reinforcement cycle. It is one of the most destructive patterns a human mind can get caught inside. B.F. Skinner first documented this in the 1950s. When a rat pressed a lever and received food every single time, it pressed casually. But when the food appeared only sometimes, randomly, unpredictably, the rat became frantic. It pressed obsessively because the unpredictability of the reward made the reward feel more valuable. Your brain runs on the same architecture. When the person you love is warm one day and cold the next, when they pull you close and then disappear, your dopamine system does not calm down. It escalates. The uncertainty does not push you away. It binds you tighter. This is why you cannot simply choose to stop. The inconsistency itself is the trap. Psychologist Helen Fisher studied the brains of people who had been rejected by romantic partners using fMRI scans. She found activity in the same regions that light up in cocaine addicts experiencing withdrawal. Your brain, in the absence of the love it was trained to want, does not simply grieve. It craves, it plots, it replays. But here is where it gets darker. When you love someone who cannot love you back, something begins to happen to your sense of self. Slowly, without you noticing, you start editing yourself for them. You notice what makes them warm toward you and lean into it. You notice what seems to push them away and sand those parts of yourself down. And over months, sometimes years, you end up performing a version of yourself specifically designed to earn one person's love. And that person still doesn't give it to you. Psychologist Lisa Firestone calls this the suppression of the authentic self. When your worth becomes contingent on the response of someone who cannot consistently provide it, you stop trusting your own instincts. You learn to override the voice inside you that reads situations. And you find yourself accepting things you would once have walked away from because somewhere along the line, you stopped trusting yourself as a reliable narrator of your own life. There is also something that happens to your nervous system, relationships that are emotionally unstable, not abusive necessarily, just inconsistent, just cold and then warm. Train your nervous system into a state of chronic low-grade vigilance. Your body is always slightly on alert, always scanning, always trying to read the tone, read the micro-expressions, read the length of the pause before they reply. Researchers call this hypervigilance in attachment. And once your system is calibrated this way, it does not simply switch off when you leave. You carry it into the next relationship, and you find yourself, months later, with someone who loves you easily, and it feels wrong, too quiet, like something is missing. What is missing is the anxiety, the chase, the uncertainty your nervous system came to read as intimacy. That is the long shadow this kind of love casts on everything that comes after. Now, why can't they love you back? The truth is that the inability to return love almost never has anything to do with the person offering it. John Bowlby's attachment theory, expanded through Mary Ainsworth's groundbreaking research, shows that when early caregivers were emotionally unavailable or inconsistent, the child's capacity for intimacy never develops a secure baseline. The adult who cannot love you back is not choosing not to. They are running an old program installed before they had any say in the matter. You cannot love someone into healing. You cannot be patient enough, present enough, devoted enough to override the architecture of someone else's early wound. That is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of the limits of what love alone can do. Here is what eventually becomes true, if you let it. The exhaustion you feel is not evidence that you loved too much. It is evidence that you were loving with everything you had, in a direction that had nowhere to go. And the mind replaying conversations at 2 a.m., searching for the thing it missed, is not weak. It is loyal to an extreme. It is holding on with the same grip that kept your ancestors alive when survival depended on not letting go. But survival also depended on knowing when to move. Tonight, if you feel that particular weight in your chest, notice it. Do not push it away. Do not perform being fine. Just know that what you are carrying is real. And the very same brain that made you feel all of this so deeply is also capable of being redirected. Slowly, imperfectly, towards something that actually meets you where you are. That exhaustion you felt at the very beginning. It was not proof that you are broken. It was proof that you were brave enough to love something fully, even when it cost you almost everything. That is not a flaw. That is one of the most human things there is.